Welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be
Ah,
exploring Maskanda. You
Maskanda.
got it.
Yeah.
Which is the South African music genre that's often called the Zulu blues.
Right.
And you might be thinking blues in South Africa,
Yeah.
and that's where it gets really interesting. Maskanda is so much more than just blues.
Right.
It's a musical diary of the Zulu people.
Yes.
It's full of personal stories, reflections on South African history,
Yeah.
and even some surprising connections. Like,
Right.
do you know that the name Maskanda might actually have roots in the Afrikaans language?
Yeah. It's quite a fascinating story, actually.
Yeah. So we'll trace its journey from its origins to its modern evolution.
Yeah.
So to kind of kick things off, let's get the basics down.
Okay.
When we say Maskanda, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, the word itself comes from Umaskandi,
Yep.
which refers to a wandering minstrel, a storyteller who travels with a guitar, sharing stories through music. So you can
Okay.
almost picture this Zulu musician traversing the South African landscape,
Yeah.
and their guitar is serving as a vessel for narratives about life, love, and the realities of being Zulu.
Wow, that's such a vivid image. You can almost hear the music echoing through the hills.
Yeah.
What drove the creation of this unique musical tradition?
Well, Maskanda arose during a time of major upheaval in South Africa.
Okay.
As industrialization took hold, many rural Zulu men were forced to migrate to cities in search of work,
Right.
leaving behind their homes and their families.
Yeah.
And Maskanda became a way for them to cope with the feelings of displacement,
Right.
to hold on to their cultural identity,
Uh-huh.
and to process their experiences in a new and often challenging environment.
So it was like their outlet to
Good job.
stay connected to their roots
Yeah.
during this really tumultuous time.
Absolutely.
So if we kind of dig a little deeper into this idea of Maskanda as a musical diary,
Okay.
what kinds of stories were these musicians sharing through their songs?
Well, the lyrics weren't just about music.
Yeah.
They were deeply personal narratives,
Yeah.
often infused with the harsh realities of life under apartheid.
Uh-huh.
We see tales of love and loss, of course,
Yeah.
but also reflections on identity, the struggles of migrant workers, and even subtle critiques of the socio-political landscape of the time.
Wow.
It's like each song is a snapshot of a specific moment.
Yeah.
A story whispered through intricate guitar picking, lively concertina melodies and lyrics, sung in isiZulu, the Zulu language.
Oh, it's really incredible, and that's what makes it so powerful, right?
Yes.
It's not just entertainment.
No.
It's a living history,
Mm-hmm.
a way to preserve the Zulu experience.
Exactly.
Now, I can't wait to unpack this intriguing link between Maskanda and the Afrikaans language.
Right.
It's a connection that really highlights the complexities of South Africa's past.
It certainly does.
The fact that the very name Maskanda might actually be derived from the Afrikaans word musicant,
Music cons.
meaning musician,
Yeah.
speaks volumes about the interwoven histories of South Africa's diverse communities.
Yeah. It really does.
To be honest, I was surprised when I first learned about this connection.
Really?
Zulu and Afrikaans have such distinct roots.
Mm-hmm.
How did they end up influencing each other?
Well, it's more common than you might think, especially during the colonial and apartheid eras.
Okay.
You have to think about it. Despite the segregationist policies, Zulu laborers and African-speaking communities
Mm.
often interacted particularly in workplaces and urban areas.
Right.
So this proximity led to a natural exchange of languages,
Yeah.
ideas, and even musical influences.
Huh. So even in a system designed to separate people, music and language found a way to bridge the gap.
Yes.
It speaks to a certain resilience, doesn't it? This determination to connect and share despite the barriers.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And musically speaking, while both Africans' music and Maskanda share a love for storytelling, they took very different paths.
Okay.
Africans' music, with its roots in European folk traditions, often relied on Western instruments and focused on tales of rural life and folklore. Maskanda, on the other hand, while incorporating the modern guitar, retained a distinctly Zulu flavor evident in its unique rhythms, lyrical depth, and the central role of isiZulu.
Huh. It really paints a picture of two very different cultural landscapes, each with its own rich musical heritage.
Yes.
And yet, as you said, there's this undeniable point of convergence, this shared passion for telling stories through music.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder how many other subtle cultural exchanges happened beneath the surface during those turbulent times in South Africa.
Right.
But moving on from the linguistic connection, what was happening in South Africa during the mid-20th century that led to Maskanda's rise in popularity?
Well, this period marked a particularly difficult chapter for South Africa's working-class Zulu population.
Okay.
Apartheid was in full swing, its oppressive policies impacting every aspect of their lives.
Right.
And Maskanda, with its deeply personal narratives and ability to speak to the Zulu experience, provided a much-needed outlet for expressing their struggles, their frustrations, and even their hopes for a better future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more than just music. It was a form of cultural resistance.
Yeah.
A way to
Mhm.
assert their identity and resilience in the face of oppression.
So it wasn't necessarily about like overt protest songs,
Right.
but more about just using music as a way to process and share their experiences. Which in and of itself was a powerful statement during that time.
Absolutely. It was about keeping their stories alive, celebrating their heritage, and connecting with each other on a deeper level, all through the medium of music.
Yeah.
And this idea of subtle resistance, of using art to challenge the status quo, is something we see in many cultures throughout history.
Right. And speaking of cultural interplay, we touched upon the exchange of musical ideas between Zulu and Afrikaans communities.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on what that looked like in practice?
Well, it's fascinating how these two genres, despite their distinct origins, found ways to influence each other.
Yeah.
Some Afrikaans musicians, intrigued by the rhythmic drive of Maskanda,
Right.
started incorporating those elements into their own music, adding a new dimension to their sound.
So it wasn't just a one-way street.
No, not at all.
Maskanda was influencing Afrikaans music as well.
Absolutely. And in turn, some Zulu musicians began integrating Afrikaans phrases and even instruments into their Maskanda compositions.
Wow.
It speaks to a kind of musical dialogue, a cross-cultural conversation happening through melody and rhythm.
It really dismantles this idea of rigid cultural boundaries,
Yeah.
showing how creativity can thrive when different influences come together.
Exactly.
Now we've discussed how Maskanda became a powerful voice during the Apartheid era.
Yes.
But how did the genre evolve once Apartheid ended? Did it lose relevance, or did it find new ways to resonate with audiences?
Maskanda certainly didn't fade away with the end of apartheid.
Okay.
In fact, it saw a resurgence of sorts with artists like Puza Khemisi,
Kuzikamisi.
and Shwi Namdekala,
Okay.
taking the genre in new directions.
Okay.
They experimented with modern sounds, incorporating elements of electronic music and other contemporary genres, while still staying true to the core elements of Maskanda.
It's like they were building on the foundation laid by earlier generations.
Yes,
Taking the tradition and pushing it forward into a new era.
precisely. They recognized the need to appeal to younger audiences who were growing up in a different South Africa,
Right.
exposed to a wider range of musical influences.
Yeah.
And they did this without sacrificing the soul of Maskanda, its storytelling essence, and its connection to Zulu culture.
It makes you wonder, in today's world with so many new genres popping up constantly,
Yeah.
how does Maskanda fit in?
Right.
Is it seen as something outdated, or does it still hold a place in the hearts of younger generations?
That's the million-dollar question for Maskanda artists today.
Right.
They're facing a challenge familiar to many traditional genres, staying relevant in a rapidly changing musical landscape. Genres like G-Com and Amapiano, with their electronic sounds and contemporary themes, have captured the attention of many young South Africans.
So how are Maskanda artists navigating this challenge? Are they just accepting that their music is becoming a relic of the past? Or are they finding ways to adapt and connect with new audiences?
Well, many Maskanda artists are embracing innovation,
Oh,
using technology to their advantage.
Yeah.
They're creating online content, sharing their music on streaming platforms, and engaging with fans through social media.
Right.
It's like they're taking the tradition of the wandering minstrel and bringing it into the digital age.
Instead of traveling across physical landscapes, they're traversing the digital realm,
Exactly.
sharing their stories and connecting with audiences worldwide.
Yeah, and beyond just online presence, many are experimenting with their sound blending traditional Maskanda with elements of hip-hop, electronic music, and other contemporary genres.
So they're finding ways to fuse it
Yes.
without losing that core.
It's about creating a fusion that resonates with younger listeners while still honoring the roots of Maskanda.
It sounds like they're striking a delicate balance, modernizing their music without losing its essence, its soul.
Yeah.
But beyond the music itself, has Maskanda's role in South African society changed since the end of apartheid? Does it still carry the same social and cultural weight?
Well, while the overt political context has shifted, Maskanda's themes of resilience, hope, and the strength of community remain incredibly relevant in modern South Africa. The country continues to face challenges, economic inequality, social divisions, the legacy of apartheid.
Right.
And Maskanda's music provides a source of comfort, inspiration, and a reminder of shared heritage.
So it's less about directly addressing specific political issues
Right.
and more about tapping into a deeper well of human experience.
Exactly.
Those universal themes that resonate across generations and circumstances.
Precisely, it's about celebrating Zulu identity, acknowledging shared struggles, and reminding people of their collective strength.
It's fascinating how music can serve as a bridge between the past and the present, connecting people to their history while also offering solace and inspiration for the future.
It is.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Maskanda, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listener with?
Sure.
Something to ponder as they continue their own musical explorations.
As we've kind of journeyed through the world of Maskanda, we've seen how it reflects the history, the struggles and triumphs of the Zulu people.
Right.
It makes me think about music in our own cultures and how those sounds carry similar stories and meanings.
Yeah, that's such a great point. It's like you're giving our listener a musical challenge,
Yeah.
encouraging them to explore the soundscapes of their own heritage.
Exactly what genres speak to your history, your community, your personal experiences. I encourage everyone to take some time to really listen, to dig a little deeper into the music that surrounds them and discover the stories it holds.
It's a reminder that music is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful form of expression, a reflection of who we are, where we come from, and what we believe in.
And just as Maskanda continues to evolve and find new ways to connect with audiences, so too do the musical traditions of cultures around the world. It's an ongoing process of adaptation, innovation, and the passing down of stories through generations.
Well, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me, and I hope for our listener as well. We've uncovered so much more than just the Zulu blues.
Yeah.
We've explored the heart of a genre that's rich in history, cultural exchange, and resilience.
From those early wandering minstrels sharing stories through music, to modern artists blending tradition with contemporary sounds,
Right.
Maskanda has proven its ability to adapt and thrive. It's a testament to the enduring power of music to connect us, to inspire us, and to remind us of our shared humanity.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating exploration of Maskanda. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Maskanda. We hope you've come away with a newfound appreciation for this vibrant and multifaceted genre. Until next time, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep the music alive.